Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Mr. E. In today's video we'll cover both CLEPs and DSSTs and how they could be applied towards the general education portion of a CCAF degree. Let's get started. I would first like to start off by giving some background information on these tests. CLEPs and DSSTs are not the only way to complete a CCAF degree, nor is it the only way to receive credits for a CCAF degree. Both CLEPs and DSSTs are a free way in which all military members can earn college credit. And lucky for the Air Force member, both of these types of tests can be applied towards different requirements needed in completing a CCAF degree. CLEPs and DSSTs can also be applied towards some AFSCs, CCAF degree technical core, technical electives, and regular elective requirements. However, in this video, I just want to focus on the general education requirements for a CCAF degree. Now let me transition into what a CLEP and DSST is. CLEPs can be called a college-level examination program, and DSSTs can be called a defense activity for non-traditional education support subject standardized tests. But I'm just going to stick with CLEP and DSST to make things short and simple. Now I did mention that military members can take these tests free, but military members can only take each of the tests once for free. Even if the member fails the test, the failure will not cost the member any money. I would note, in order for the member to take any of these tests for free, the member must take this test at a free test proctoring location, which is usually located on a military base. Also, if the member wishes to take the CLEP or DSST which they have failed, they will have to spend an additional $100 and wait at least 6 months before they can retake that test that they failed. The only exception to this rule is if the test location was offering a free retest at the time when the member took the test. In this next section, I would like to cover some of the main differences and similarities between CLEPs and DSSTs. The first major difference is CLEPs require test takers to sign up on their website before taking each test, and a CLEP will have a certain amount of time in which the test has to be taken once the member signs up, which is usually about a 3-month period. Next, no matter if a CLEP or DSST is taken, the member has to schedule a test day and time at a proctoring location where the member wishes to take a test. Also, I would like to point out that some test proctoring locations have a 2-month waiting list before the member could take a test, and some places will allow you to take the test later on that day. So be sure to call the proctoring location before signing up for any test. There are also some test locations that have a 1-day marathon, which allows test takers to take multiple tests in one day. The best thing to do for a member is to find out where the nearest free test location is and to see what benefits they have offered in the past. Here is what a current CCAF degree plan looks like at the time of shooting this video. As you can see, the different general education requirements are outlined on this plan. The ones that we'll be looking at today are the Leadership, Management, and Military Studies, or LMMS, Oral Communication, Written Communication, Math, Social Science, and Humanities. This next list, which I am sharing, is a list that I had received at my current Air Force Base library. This list shows the different CLEPs and DSST exams which have been used to fulfill the majority of the CCAF requirements. A C at the end of the test name shows that the test is a CLEP test, where a D at the end of the test name shows that it's a DSST test. Also on this form, there is an area which shows where this test would be applied if the member reaches a passing score. I would also like to reiterate that the member has to sign up for a CLEP in order to take the test. These next two forms show a fair illustration of the percentages for passing a CLEP or DSST for members wanting to take a test. I would like to point out some things for test takers to consider before taking a test, which are: some people have prior knowledge of subject matter, and therefore the passing rate for them might be easier, which would also make the passing percentages for some tests higher. For example, let's look at the passing rates for foreign language. As you can see, the passing rates for these tests are high, especially Spanish. The main reason for this is because the majority of individuals taking these tests grew up in a multilingual household, which in this case would be both Spanish and English, and that would mean that those individuals would have a higher rate of passing. Now, no matter what subject you are trying to test on, make sure that you study to the point where you feel like you would most definitely pass the test. Here is a color-coded sheet to show how hard it is to pass a CLEP test. Now, as you can see, the majority of these tests have a passing rate less than 50%. If you would like to see how a CLEP or DSST works, I would recommend studying for principles of supervision and taking that test. As you can see on this DSST form, the passing rate for this is higher than 91%, and it'll also count 3 credits towards your leadership, management, and military studies requirement for your CCAF degree. This way, you can take an easy test and become familiar of the test taking process. Once you are done with this test, I would recommend moving on to whatever subject is easier for you and also finding additional requirements for completing your CCAF degree. Next, I would like to talk about the free CLEP and DSST resources that could be offered to members. The first resource that I would recommend is going to your base library. They have multiple medias, books, and additional resources for you to have. Some of those resources are websites like freeclepprep.com. That would be my number one recommendation for anybody first starting out for CLEPs and DSSTs. The specific books that I would check out are preparation books for CLEPs and DSSTs. There should be a whole text section in the base library, and I'll go over there and see any additional books that they might have if your CLEP or DSST preparation book isn't there, and study from that. I would always recommend taking the tests that you're most strongest in first before taking subject matters that could be a little bit more difficult, just because if you're taking a test that is difficult and studying for it, it could consume some more of your time. The next resource might be a little obvious, but it's most definitely worth mentioning, and that's doing your own research. I would highly recommend going online, typing in through your search engine, and there may be an abundance of information and you might have to sift through a little of it, but there may be some tests that don't have any information on it at all, and it may be a little difficult, so just be aware of that. The next resource that I would recommend is going to both the CLEP and DSST websites to look at test information. I would like to use an example from CLEP.com as we look at the college composition with modular. It will be divided into 4 different sections, and that will be the 100% of it. But it gets broken down even further. 10% is conservation of standard written English. 40% is revision skills, including sentence level skills. 25%, the ability to use resource materials. And another 25% is rhetorical analysis. These 4 categories are broken down even further so that test takers can have a more focused field of study for each test that they need to take. The final resource that I use is Quizlet. I personally use it for my smartphone. The reason being is if I'm on the go, I have the ability to pull it out and study the terms that are on the Quizlet cards. I would only use the resources with the highest number of cards in them though. That way it could save you time. Each test is comparable to 140 study hours, hence I would most definitely take more than 1 or 2 hours of study for any test, and I would never just wing it in hopes that I would pass the test. Personally, I've spent more than 80 hours to prepare for some of these tests, particularly on subjects that I knew nothing about. The way that I study for each test is by using a Word document and copying the information from the CLEP and DSST websites. This then gives me the outline that I'm able to use when I'm gathering from all the different resources to create my word study doc. And before I take the test, I look at the Word doc and try to rememorize all the information that is on there. Just to give you an idea of how much information I have gathered on some of these tests, it's been 16 pages, single space, so there will be a lot of information to memorize and study from. At this time, I'd like to talk about random facts about CLEPs and DSSTs to be aware of if you are going to take these tests. If you need business mathematics for some reason, it will be the hardest test to take. On average, it has less than a 1% passing rate in the past 5 years. If you're going to college after completing your CCAF degree, CLEPs are more universally accepted than DSSTs at some colleges. However, DSSTs are counted as upper division credits at some colleges, where CLEPs are counted as lower division credits. Also check the CLEP and DSST websites, because every now and then they'll revise a test, pull it from test taking, and then when they do bring it back, the test material will be different from some of the resources that are online. I have also seen some of the tests in revision for a year, so if there is a deadline for you to take the test, make sure you get it done before that deadline. The only test that will fulfill the speech portion of a CCAF degree plan is Principles of Public Speaking, so take this test extremely seriously, because right now it has a 30% passing rate. You can take 2 different CLEPs or DSSTs, or a mixture of both, to fulfill your leadership management and military studies requirement for your CCAF degree, which means you don't need to take ALS to complete your CCAF degree. I know I've said this before, but I'm probably going to say it a few more times in this video. You cannot study enough, so study, study, study. My final thoughts to test takers is, don't assume that you know everything there is to know about a topic, because some of the questions in the test will surprise you. That is okay, just move on to the next question. If you fail a test, don't get discouraged, because you can take a different test in that subject for your CCAF degree. Also, I would recommend going to your proctoring location 15 minutes early and talk to your base education center for more information about CLEPs and DSSTs. Finally, just because the test is free does not mean you should take it lightly. Once again, study, study, study. Hopefully the information in this video has been useful to you. If you have any questions, or if you would like to leave a comment on anything that was talked about, please do so in the comment section below. Also, if you feel like this video has been useful to you, please share it with others so that they can get the information too. Also, subscribe for future videos and like. Thank you so much for your time and for listening. I'm looking forward from hearing from you all. This is Mr. E. Goodbye until next time.